We are joined by Tony Pauline, consulting editor and NFL draft analyst at sportskeeda.com. Tony, thank you for joining us on this Payday Friday. I hope it's a Payday Friday for you as well.
Tony.
Thanks for having me. I'm actually in Columbus, Ohio, dropping my daughter off at the Ohio State University. So it's always football season. Got to see the stadium, maybe catch a little practice. Football's nonstop.
Hey, Tony, I just dropped my daughter off at college, North Carolina. I got to tell you, I teared up. Is this your first time? Did you tear up, or were you like, you know what, I'll see you soon?
No, this is her junior year. Yeah.
Okay.
But to tell you the truth, the freshman year driving away was, especially since she's our only one, it was a little bit difficult. It was tough for my wife.
No
it was difficult
doubt.
for me though.
Well, Tony, you wrote a really good piece on the Nick Bosa contract situation, sportskeeda.com. Can you break it down for us and let the good people know, Niner fans, and let them know why this contract situation might be a bit more complicated than we all think?
Well, the fact is this is revenues in the NFL are growing, the salary cap is growing, and contracts are growing, and the players are going to want their piece of the pie. And the really good players are going to want those contracts to keep escalating and escalating and escalating. That's what Nick Bosa wants. I mean, he is a terrific pass rusher. He is sort of the quarterback of the defense in the sense that, you look at some of these quarterback contracts and they're NBA style. And, what better way to kind of slow down the quarterbacks than with a terrific pass rushing defensive end, and that's what Nick Bosa is. So you got to understand that, these contracts are going to continually grow as the NFL keeps bringing in revenue and the salary cap continues to grow. So Bosa is going to want his piece of the pie. He's going to want his financial security. And it's the same thing with Chris Jones. Now, the other interesting... as I said in the article, from what I've heard, there hasn't been a lot of contact between Bosa's people and the Niners. There hasn't been a lot of contact between Chris Jones' people and the Chiefs, which leads people to believe that it's going to be an extensive and potentially long holdout that could go into the first week of the season, second week of the season. I don't know if that's going to happen. I'll get to that in a second. And there's one intangible, and this is just speculation that people need to keep an eye on that has been thrown out to me by a number of people in the league. Bosa's agent, who I've known for years, also happened to be Aaron Donald's agent at one point in time. He wasn't Aaron Donald's agent when Donald signed that huge 3-year contract for $95 million. So I'm sure Bosa's agent wants to make a statement now and get as close, if not exceed, the money that Aaron Donald got, what was barely a year or so ago, and say, listen, this is the way the NFL's going with these contracts. I'm going to get what I can from my guy, and if it exceeds or comes close to what Aaron Donald has, good for Nick Bosa and his representation.
Yeah, that's interesting, Tony, because, my dad had an old saying, son, worry about what's going on in your house, your own backyard. So in a crazy way, do you think if Chris Jones, that situation, wasn't what it is, that Bosa may be signed? Like, are both parties, you think, looking out the window just to see, who's going to go first in a crazy way?
No, I mean, they're different types of players, and I think that, if the Niners come up and give Nick Bosa the number he wants or comes close to the number that he wants, I think he'll be signed. It's just a matter of when that happens, if that happens. Just go back a couple of weeks ago, after the Giants didn't come to a contract negotiation with Saquon Barkley, I had written a piece that there were expectations that Barkley could hold out. And Barkley himself said, it was something that he was considering. And then lo and behold, literally within 48 hours, he and the Giants, came to an agreement, and Barkley never held out. He showed up for Veterans Camp. That can absolutely happen with Bosa. But I'm sure that Bosa is going to want it. Well, I know he wants a significant number. It's just a matter of, will the Niners step up to the plate? And I don't think it has anything to do with Chris Jones.
Okay.
I think in a perfect world for Bosa is if Chris Jones gets a massive contract, a 3-year, $90 million deal, Bosa and his team are going to be doing backflips because they're going to want even more money.
Talking to Tony
Man.
Pauline, consulting editor and NFL draft analyst at sportskeeda.com. Tony, let's just ask a question like this. What's the worst case scenario for this Nick Bosa and Niners situation?
Yeah, I mean, worst case scenario is I think he misses week one.
Wow.
From what people have told me, I don't think it comes to that. I think that is a possibility, but I think, once you get into the regular season, the Niners obviously are going to be contenders to go to the Super Bowl this year, as long as the quarterback, even if the quarterback doesn't stay healthy, Brock Purdy, you still got Sam Darnold there, and you got a phenomenal coach, a phenomenal quarterback coach, who I think, can spin gold out of anything at the position. So they're going to be contenders for the NFC title, and they want to go to the Super Bowl. So, I think that is a possibility week one. I don't think it goes any further than that if it gets to that.
Your specialty also is NFL draft analyst. So if you don't mind, I want to ask you, because all we're talking about, Tony, in this market is the quarterback position and Lance, Purdy, but are you shocked or curious as to why or what Kyle may have seen? It's bleak for me, Tony, in regard to Trey Lance, because I'm not seeing a lot and I'm a bit disappointed. But when you look at what was available for Kyle and the rest of the coaches and GMs, what he could have saw and why it's not happening in year three.
Well, I mean, a lot of it obviously has to do with injuries. And, as they said at the time, they made that big move up because they were afraid the Patriots were going to make the big move up and get one of the quarterbacks. I think the thing is it's no coincidence that the Andy Reid quarterbacks, the Doug Peterson quarterbacks, the Kyle Shanahan quarterbacks find ways to succeed, whether it's Brock Purdy, whether it's Garoppolo. I mean, these guys just know they have it when it comes to coaching quarterbacks, and we can go, with a few other. And then you have situations, say, like the New York Jets, who can't develop their own quarterback. They got to go out in the free market, pay a gazillion dollars, for a 40-year-old quarterback and hope that he's got something left in the tank. That's the guy they wanted. It's been, obviously, you got to be disappointed in Lance. I think a lot of it is injuries. He hasn't been able to stay in the field. But while you're disappointed, I think with that coach that you have there, like I said, he'll be able to spin gold out of anything at that position. And listen, I'm in the New York area, so right. we know what Jet fans know what's going to happen. There's a lot of excitement here with Aaron Rodgers, but we can see Sam Darnold stepping on the field, in week 3 and going 14-0 for the San Francisco 49ers, and finally realizing the potential that everyone thought he had after he was selected in 2018.
Talking to Tony Pauline, consulting editor and NFL draft analyst at sportskeeda.com. Tony, let's talk about Brock Purdy as a draft analyst. What did you see from Brock? I know he was Mr. Irrelevant, but hey, he still got drafted and now has been very successful in the NFL so far. What did you see from Brock Purdy coming out of the draft, coming out of college?
Yeah, I think that anybody who says, I expected this from Brock Purdy that does the draft, as extensively as I do, is lying. I mean, because he was a good game manager at Iowa State, and he went to the Shrine Bowl and he had 3 good days of practice. Did anyone think that he was going to step in and just carry the team carry the offense, not the team, the way he did, and lead them to the NFC title game? No one imagined that. And again, I think what happens is, you talk about Trey Lance versus Brock Purdy. So much of it comes down to the coach and the ability to develop a player at the position. So it has been Trey Lance for a couple of reasons, primarily injuries. In steps Brock Purdy when Garoppolo gets injured, and Brock Purdy carries the team. Again, that's the coach. Did anyone think that Brock Purdy was going to be a legitimate number 1 NFL quarterback? No. I mean, he looked like a very good backup that was more of a game manager than a team leader.
Well, Tony, just a real quick follow-up. But with that being said, and it's so tough to do this, put players on different teams, how can you evaluate Brock with having Kyle Shanahan and all the weapons? I mean, would you call him a franchise QB with an asterisk? What would you say to that?
I'd say he has played beyond expectations. I'd say the future looks bright, but I'd say let's give it a couple of years. I mean, he played barely a half season last year, and he played very well. You hope that is the shape of things to come. But I think, listen, I go back a long way, and I remember Bill Parcells talking about how it takes 3 years to really decide whether a player, after he's drafted, whether he deserves to be in the NFL. And now people want a definite answer. Some 3 months, sometimes 3 weeks into the rookie season. Everything is pointed north to Brock Purdy. We'll see what happens this year with the elbow. Is he able to stay healthy? If he builds on this, good for him, good for the Niners. I mean, you can't. I'm not going to roll the dice. I'm going to say, let's just hope for more good things for him.
Hey, Tony, before we get you out of here, I love my partner, but the fact that he asked you that question, isn't that a little haterade? Isn't like what? Enjoy the ride. Why do you got to ask Tony? What if he's somewhere else? Because he's not. It's like Phil Jackson. What if he wasn't coaching the Lakers or Bulls? Right? Shouldn't we not even look at it to that degree? What if he wasn't in Kyle's system?
Yes and no, because again, I'm from New York, and people say, "Oh, the Jets drafted Sam Darnold, they drafted Zach Wilson, they missed on Brock Purdy." And my answer to that is, Brock Purdy would have done no better with the New York Jets and the New York Jets organization than Zach Wilson has done, than Sam Darnold did. Because the Jets just can't develop quarterbacks. So yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you. Enjoy it while it's there, but I think really you have to be happy that you have a coach there that knows how to develop quarterbacks when so many other franchises just come up empty at that position.
Tony, Pauline, thank you so much for the time. That was great stuff, Tony. The Ohio State hanging out with the Buckeyes. Sir. I hope they have a good season. Thanks again for the time.
Thanks for having me.
That was Tony Pauline, consulting editor and draft analyst, NFL draft analyst at Sportskeeda.com.